1. South China Sea row cancels ASEAN joint statement. This topic is important under General Studies Paper 2. Bilateral, regional and global groupings and agreements involving India and affecting India's interests. Why recently in news? Differences over the South China Sea forced countries from Southeast Asia, along with China and the United States, to cancel a joint statement at a meeting of defense ministers in Malaysia on Wednesday. The Chinese Ministry of Defense implied the United States was the main reason for the breakdown in the discussions. China maintains that its territorial claims in the South China Sea must be discussed with individual countries that also have claims. What is going on now in South China Sea? Rival countries have wrangled over territory in the South China Sea for centuries, but tension has steadily increased in recent years. China has backed its expansive claims with island building and naval patrols, while the US says it opposes restrictions on freedom of navigation and unlawful sovereignty claims, by all sides, but seen by many as aimed at China. The frictions have sparked concern that the area is becoming a flashpoint with global consequences. What is the argument about? It is a dispute over territory and sovereignty over ocean areas, and the Paracels and the Spratlys, two island chains claimed in whole, or in part by a number of countries. Alongside the fully fledged islands, there are dozens of rocky outcrops, atolls, sandbanks and reefs, such as the Scarborough Shoal. Why are they worth arguing over? Although largely uninhabited, the Paracels and the Spratlys may have reserves of natural resources around them. There has been little detailed exploration of the area, so estimates are largely extrapolated from the mineral wealth of neighboring areas. The sea is also a major shipping route and home to fishing grounds that supply the livelihoods of people across the region. Who claims what? China claims by far the largest portion of territory, an area defined by the Nine-Dash Line, which stretches hundreds of miles south and east, from its most southerly province of Hainan. Beijing says its right to the area goes back centuries to when the Paracel and Spratly island chains were regarded as integral parts of the Chinese nation. And in 1947 it issued a map detailing its claims. It showed the two island groups falling entirely within its territory. Those claims are mirrored by Taiwan. Vietnam hotly disputes China's historical account, saying China had never claimed sovereignty over the islands before the 1940s. Vietnam says it has actively ruled over both the Paracels and the Spratlys since the 17th century and has the documents to prove it. The other major claimant in the area is the Philippines, which invokes its geographical proximity to the Spratly Islands as the main basis of its claim for part of the grouping. Both the Philippines and China lay claim to the Scarborough Shoal, known as Huangyan Island in China, a little more than 100 miles, 160 kilometers, from the Philippines and 500 miles from China. Malaysia and Brunei also lay claim to territory in the South China Sea that they say falls within their economic exclusion zones, as defined by UNCLOS, the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. Brunei does not claim any of the disputed islands, but Malaysia claims a small number of islands in the Spratlys. Recent flashpoints. The most serious trouble in recent decades has flared between Vietnam and China. and there have also been standoffs between the Philippines and China. In 1974, the Chinese seized the paracels from Vietnam, killing more than 70 Vietnamese troops. In 1988, the two sides clashed in the Spratlys, with Vietnam again coming off worse, losing about 60 sailors. In early 2012, China and the Philippines engaged in a lengthy maritime standoff, accusing each other of intrusions in the Scarborough Shoal. In July 2012, China angered Vietnam and the Philippines when it formally created Sancho City, an administrative body with its headquarters in the Paracels, which it says oversees Chinese territory in the South China Sea. Unverified claims that the Chinese Navy sabotaged two Vietnamese exploration operations in late 2012 led to large anti-China protests on Vietnam's streets. In January 2013, Manila said it was taking China to a UN tribunal under the auspices of the UN Convention on the Laws of the Sea, to challenge its claims. In May 2014, the introduction by China of a drilling rig into waters near the Paracel Islands led to multiple collisions between Vietnamese and Chinese ships. In April 2015, satellite images showed China building an airstrip on reclaimed land in the Spratlys. In October 2015, the U.S. sailed a guided missile destroyer within 12 nautical miles of the artificial islands, the first in a series of actions planned to assert freedom of navigation in the region. China warned that the U.S. should not act blindly or make trouble out of nothing. What does the rest of the world say? Although China has tended to favor bilateral negotiations behind closed doors, other countries want international mediation. But even if the Philippines is successful in its attempts to pursue China at a UN tribunal, China would not be obliged to abide by the ruling. Recent attempts by regional grouping ASEAN to discuss new ideas for resolving the dispute appear to have left the bloc severely divided. The US has warned China not to elbow aside the countries it is in conflict with over the islands. 2. GS-8015 set to replace dying Insaat 3A and 4B. This topic is important under General Studies Paper 3. Science and Technology, Space Science. Why recently in news? GS-8015, which will be put in space on November 11, will replace two older spacecraft Insaat 3A and 4B that will likely expire in the coming months. According to the ISRO, the transponders of GS-80 are solely in the Ku-band and will cater to DTH, direct-to-home, television needs, besides supporting the thousands of VSAT operators who provide broadband services and DSNG, digital satellite news gathering, for TV news channels. ISRO is also focusing on bridging the Ku-band shortage in the country. Currently, Indian D2H broadcasters are heavily dependent on external transponders. GS-8015. GS-8015, weighing 3,164 kilograms, will be launched on November 11 from Crew in French Guiana, in South America, on the European Arianespace's Ariane 5 launcher. The satellite cost and the launch fee are around Rs. 860 crore. GS-8015 will be flown along with Saudi Arabia's Arabsat 6P and Badr 7. It will be stationed over India at a slot at 93.5 degrees east longitude. XIT will also carry the third Gaggan satellite navigation transponder as a backup for airlines and other users of augmented GPS-based systems. Why can't we use Indian launch vehicles? The two Indian rockets PSLV and GSLV cannot pitch the weight of XIT-15 to its slot 36,000 kilometers high. The way forward. But ISRO in March 2105 tested indigenous cryogenic engine, which will allow launch vehicles to carry satellites of up to 4 tons. Although the Geosynchronous Satellite Launch Vehicle, GSLV Mark III, successfully launched an unmanned capsule that could be used for manned missions in December, it had a passive cryogenic stage. Hopefully soon we will be getting our own launch vehicles to launch satellites weighing over 4 tons. 3. Coastal Road Project notification soon. This topic is important under General Studies Paper 2. Government policies and interventions for development in various sectors and issues arising out of their design and implementation. About Mumbai Coastal Road. The Coastal Road is proposed to be a freeway along Mumbai's coastline, from South Mumbai's Nariman Point to the far western suburb of Kandivali. The 35.6-kilometer link is expected to provide relief to lakhs of commuters who currently take up to 3 hours to travel the distance in peak hour traffic. The project is expected to free up the city's highly congested roads connecting its western suburbs. The freeway will complement the 17-kilometer Eastern Freeway, which connects South Mumbai to the eastern suburbs. The coastal road also seeks to create large patches of open green space, rare in Mumbai. The government has promised to create marinas and promenades, and provide pedestrians access to the green patches to walk or cycle. After a nearly 25-year ban, Mumbai, which has a long history of claiming land from the ocean, is set to turn to the Arabian Sea again as a solution to its growing population and vehicular congestion. Proposals for construction. The road, with 22 entry and exit points, is proposed to be built as a combination of undersea tunnels, roads on stilts and viaducts, and roads on land reclaimed from the sea and mangroves. The project is expected to cost Rs 12,000 crore, and will require reclamation of about 160 hectares from the sea and mangroves. Roughly 18 kilometers of the 35-kilometer freeway will be on reclaimed land, about 9 kilometers as 2 tunnels near Gurgaon Chowpatty and Jo Chowpatty, and the rest as bridges and roads on stilts. 2 of the 8 lanes will be reserved for a bus rapid transit system. The Maharashtra government has recently signed an MOU with the Government of Netherlands for reclamation know-how and expert advice on linking the freeway with planned metro rail corridors. Environmental concerns of the project. The construction of road alters the city's coastline, changes sea levels and tidal currents, and causes erosion of beaches such as Dada Chowpatty, due to reclamation in the Mohim Bay. Land reclamation leads to depletion of vegetation cover and increases concretization, reducing infiltration of rainwater into the earth. Reclamation has been seen to affect the flushing capacity of creeks and estuaries, such as that of the Mithi River, which was a prime reason for the 2005 inundation in Mumbai. The fishing community, some of Mumbai's oldest residents, are against the coastal road, fearing it will threaten breeding grounds for fish and impact aquatic life. Who really benefits from this? The state government and the BMC have said that they have been entirely guided by the consultants and the so-called experts, who have not visualized the benefits of a project costing us 11,000 crore. The project claims that it benefits only a minuscule population of 6% and not the remaining 94%, which would be deprived of the benefits of such a massive investment. Furthermore, this project would only add to the existing air pollution and thereby degrade the environment. So, for whom is this road really meant for if it won't benefit the masses? How much can the city take? Mumbai is one of the most populous cities of the world, having a very high density of people per square kilometer. As per the census of India, 62% of the population of Mumbai resides in slums. So, the coastal road would be of no use and benefit to such a large chunk of population that primarily depends on public transport. How much pressure we will put on the city by creating more infrastructure, which is not even catering to the masses. Dislocating fisher folk. The deterioration of the quality of water and increasing levels of pollution in the Mohim Bay and Mohim Creek, due to domestic and industrial wastewater discharge, and has adversely affected fishing activity. Most fishes, including some colored varieties, have almost vanished from this bay. Limited fishing using traditional techniques is practiced by fishermen, who have to venture deep into the sea for catching fish. The proposed coastal road will only add more misery to the lives of these fishermen. 4. NITI panel proposes agriculture reforms to curb price rise. This topic is important under General Studies Paper 3. Food security in India. Why recently in news? Niti Aayog's task force on agriculture has recommended Big Bang reforms to address the politically sensitive issue of frequent spurt in crop prices. The report talks about the need for reforms in the agriculture sector in a big way to address issues of bad weather, fluctuation in crop prices, and demand and supply problems in the long term. The report has been finalized after collating the views of a similar task force of states. Important recommendations made. Guaranteed prices for at least half the key crops. Setting up of a unified national agriculture market. Changing land lease laws. Creating a mechanism to facilitate easy exit for farmers who want to move out of agriculture. 5. NGT says no to age-old practice of straw burning. This topic is important under General Studies Paper 3. Environmental pollution and controlling measures. Background. The court's observation came after the counsel for the petitioner argued that the website of Delhi Pollution Control Committee recently showed particulate matter, PM, in Delhi to be at 460 mg per cubic meter, as against a maximum permissible limit of 60 mg. An image taken on October 30 from a space satellite by America's National Aeronautics and Space Administration shows red outlines indicating fires burning across large swathes of Punjab and Haryana. Why recently in news? Straw burning is being banned in pollution-ravaged New Delhi and 4 northern western states of Punjab, Haryana, Rajasthan, and Uttar Pradesh. Serious issue of burning of agricultural waste, straw, which contributes towards global warming and the environmental pollution. Straw burning is age-old agricultural practice followed by farmers biannually by setting fire to fields to clear the land of residue of one harvest and sow the next. It carried in northern western states to save time under the rice-wheat crop rotation and to make the land more fertile and kill pests. Open field burning emits carbon dioxide, CO2, carbon monoxide, CO, and nitrous oxide, NO, along with particulate matter. Best remedy to stop menace is to set up bioethanol refineries in order to extract sustainable biofuel from agricultural residue with the help of PPP model. 6. Democracy suspended in the Maldives. This topic is important under General Studies Paper 2. India and its neighbors. Observation of foreign policy of other countries. Why recently in news? President Abdullah Yameen declared a state of emergency in the Maldives, citing danger to the lives of the citizens and threat to national security. The emergency measures effectively snatches away the freedoms that followed the August 2008 Constitution. The emergency was imposed to preempt a mass rally by the main opposition Maldivian Democratic Party, which could have negatively impacted the law and order situation. Critics point that the emergency is one of the tools in the hands of the Maldivian government to crack down on political opponents. 7. Recommendations of the Bankruptcy Law Reforms Committee. This topic is important under General Studies Paper 3. Indian Economy and Issues Relating to Planning, Mobilization of Resources, Growth, Development and Employment. Why recently in news? The government-appointed Bankruptcy Law Committee recently submitted its report and its proposed insolvency and bankruptcy bill to the government. The 15-member committee was headed by T.K. Vishwanathan, a former Lok Sabha Secretary General. The committee has observed that the enactment of the proposed bill will provide greater clarity in the law and facilitate the application of consistent and coherent provisions to different stakeholders affected by business failure or inability to pay debt, and will address the challenges being faced at present for swift and effective bankruptcy resolution. Proposed draft bill. The draft bill has consolidated the existing laws relating to insolvency of companies, limited liability entities, unlimited liability partnerships and individuals which are presently scattered in a number of legislations, into a single legislation. The bill seeks to improve the handling of conflicts between creditors and debtors, avoid destruction of value, distinguish malfeasance vis versa, business failure and clearly allocate losses in macroeconomic downturns. The bill suggests an insolvency regulator for oversight over professionals in this regard. It also lays down a transition provision during which the central government will exercise all the powers of the regulator till the time one is set up. The bill recommends the existing debt recovery tribunals be the adjudicating authority for individuals and unlimited liability partnership firms. 8. President launch IIT and IISc Joint Initiative on Research. This topic is important under General Studies Paper 3. Science and Technology. Why recently in news? President Pranab Mukherjee is all set to launch an initiative to develop a roadmap for research and pave the way for solutions to major engineering and technology challenges. About the initiative. The initiative, Imprint India, is a pan-IIT and IISc joint collaboration to develop a blueprint for research of immediate relevance to society requiring innovation, direct scientific research into identified areas, ensure higher funding support for research into these areas, and measure outcomes of the research efforts with reference to the impact on the standard of living in rural, urban areas. It will focus on 10 themes, and each theme will be coordinated by one IIT or IISc. For instance, IIT Kharagpur will work on the themes of healthcare, computer science and information and communication technology, while IIT Kanpur will work on advanced material, water resources and river systems. The 10 coordinating institutions have done extensive consultations and arrived at specific themes in each area of research that has immediate social relevance.